Today's edition of Eff Norms. We don't sleep in the same bed.
Oh, do you know how it feels to wake up with someone that you love? It feels so real. My angel was sent from above. I like to see her smile. Even when I look in her eyes, I get butterflies. I don't wanna change. I don't wanna change. I don't wanna change her life.
Bonjour, I'm Joannis, an artist and writer. I like to question what we've been taught, challenge what we call normal, and make space for different ways of being. Tune in on my YouTube channel at La Peachy Rebel and let's chat. Before we get into this, let me say something first. Now, you are free to have whatever kind of relationship dynamic that works for you. There is no universal right or wrong. This is simply our way. Through what I share, maybe you'll learn something about people who live differently than you do. I say this because one of the biggest motivations behind my educational work is that I've noticed how often people make assumptions, jump to conclusions, or project their own experiences and motives onto other people's lives. When we lack exposure to different ways of living, it's easy to create a narrative based on our own experiences or the experiences of people around us. But our perspective is not universal. Sometimes we're simply wrong about other people's lives. Just because you've never experienced a particular thing in a healthy or positive way doesn't mean it isn't healthy or positive for someone else. Likewise, just because something works beautifully for you doesn't mean it's the best fit for everyone else. The goal isn't to convince you to live like me, it's to expand your perspective enough to recognize there are many healthy ways to build a fulfilling life and relationship. Maybe you'll even discover that trying something different improves your own life. Or maybe it's completely not your style, and that's okay. I created this series because so many people are programmed to believe that success, love, and healthy relationships have to look one specific way. I've watched people become so fixated on certain relationship dynamics that they lose sight of what actually matters. They may spend years stressing themselves and their partners out over something that a simple shift in perspective might have freed them from years ago. For example, in my video essay titled Why Years Together Mean Nothing, I talk about how some people become so attached to certain milestones or gestures they believe prove love that they completely overlook the actual quality of the relationship. Now, it's perfectly okay to value different things, but when those things begin to outweigh what genuinely creates a healthy partnership, it may be time to reflect. If you enjoy these conversations, check out my YouTube channel for more Eff Norms videos where we challenge relationship, lifestyle, and societal expectations. With that said, let's get into it. Okay, so first, let's be very clear. There's no requirement to sacrifice your sleep quality or live in chronic sleep deprivation to satisfy society's idea of what a real couple should do. Some people have normalized sacrifice and discomfort for so long that they instinctively reject the idea that something different could actually improve their lives. Sometimes we become so attached to what's considered normal that we never ask whether it's actually working for us. And listen, before the I've slept next to my partner for 30 years and it works for me crowd jumps into the comments, save it. That's not groundbreaking. This series is called Eff Norms for a reason. We're questioning norms, not asking permission to follow them. Another thing I want to address, if your first thought is that sleeping separately automatically means someone is cheating, that's a perfect example of what I was just talking about. You're assigning motives to people you don't know based on your own experiences, fears, or past relationships. Just because someone in your life used separate bedrooms as a cover for cheating doesn't mean everyone who sleeps separately is doing the same thing. That's something to unpack in therapy, not in my comments. Relationship disconnect has nothing to do with sharing a mattress. If there's a disconnect, it already existed. Ask the countless people who were cheated on while sleeping in the same bed every single night. So let's stop pretending the bed determines someone's integrity. Some couples have slept separately for decades and have stronger, healthier relationships than couples who share a bed every night. Neither arrangement prevents lying, cheating, emotional neglect, or mistreatment. This isn't a sleeping arrangement issue, it's a character issue. And if sleeping separately immediately triggers deep insecurity, again, that may be worth exploring with a therapist. Not every discomfort is evidence that something is wrong. Sometimes discomfort is an invitation for growth. Common reasons couples don't sleep together. Sensory sensitivities, especially for neurodivergent people, which can change throughout different stages of life. Opposite work schedules. One partner snores or farts excessively. Let's be real, that shit can be annoying for some of us. One partner tosses and turns all night. Blanket hoggers. Different temperature preferences. Different mattress preferences, soft versus firm. One person needs complete darkness while the other doesn't. Light sleepers. Sound sensitivities. One person needs white noise, and for the other person, it drives them nuts. Trauma history. Or simply, you sleep better alone. Every single one of those is a valid reason. Myths and unrealistic expectations. 1. Never go to bed angry. Listen, we are not robots who can switch emotions on command. You don't get a trophy for forcing conflict resolution at midnight. Exhaustion doesn't create clarity, it creates defensiveness, resentment, and bad communication. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is get some sleep. Regulate your nervous system and revisit the conversation when you're both functioning like actual humans. 2. Sleeping separately means something is wrong. Sometimes it means something is very right. It can reflect two people who communicate openly, understand their individual needs, and prioritize each other's well being over appearances. Sleeping separately doesn't mean you don't love each other. It doesn't mean intimacy disappears. It definitely doesn't mean you can't get busy.
Oh my God.
Sleeping together every night is not an indicator of relationship quality or marital success. No studies are proving that co sleeping guarantees a healthy relationship. Meanwhile, there are plenty of couples that share a bed every night while living with cheating, emotional abuse, chronic resentment, or complete disconnection. Sleeping in the same bed doesn't create trust. Healthy people create trust. In fact, it's not uncommon for people to realize after a divorce just how much co-sleeping was affecting their sleep quality. I've heard from multiple people who didn't realize how exhausting they had been until they experienced some of the best restorative sleep of their lives sleeping alone. And yes, sometimes better sleep also comes from no longer living in a toxic environment. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying divorce happened because of sleep or that better sleep was the only benefit. I'm simply pointing out that many people never even considered sleeping separately while they're in a relationship because they've been taught that sharing a bed is what couples are supposed to do. As a result, they may never discover that a simple change in sleeping arrangements could have dramatically improved their quality of life. Now, for us, this arrangement creates a more peaceful, fulfilling relationship. Honestly, we think it's fun. On any given night, we can decide to have a sleepover. It actually feels intentional instead of automatic. We each have our own bedroom and our own bathroom in our case, and we genuinely love it. Sometimes Mike tucks me in. Personally, I have an incredibly specific and wildly inconsistent way of sleeping. I'm a night owl. I'm a light sleeper. One night I'm freezing, the next I'm overheating. I need pitch black darkness. The tiniest light wakes me up. I sleep wrapped like a human burrito. My brown noise has to be exactly right. Or sometimes I make my little bed nest and sleep soundly. I experience heightened sensory sensitivity, which means my senses sound, smell, touch, taste register more intensely than average. Some misinterpret sensitivities as preferences, but they are actually more like disabilities that can, in some cases, feel internally painful. So while a neurotypical individual can ignore these things, this is not the way it works with autism. These days, I don't fight it anymore. I embrace my internal clock. I also recognize that I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I don't have to clock into an early shift every morning. Thank goodness. Now, for Mike, he goes to bed earlier and starts work early. And when it comes to cuddling or getting intimate, because I know what some people may be thinking, we have our moments. Sometimes I start not to sleep well if I'm sleeping too much in the same space, so I may switch it up and sleep on the sofa. There are periods where I sleep incredibly well on the sofa. For some of you, you may know it as sofa sleep, so I'll intentionally sleep there and tell Mike to not wake me up, just let me sleep if I fall asleep. I've learned to stop questioning it and just work with my brain instead of going against it. I've also always had boundaries around sleeping with other people, even on family or group trips. Pretty much everyone knows I don't like being touched when I'm going to sleep. Don't try to warm yourself up on me or snuggle with me because I don't like it. I will not share a bed with someone who snores loudly or farts openly and excessively. Yes, I know that's probably shocking to some people, but I've always been this way. I don't like farting in front of other people, and I don't enjoy other people farting around me either. Listen, I don't need to smell your funk, and I'm certainly not going to subject you to smelling mine. I personally find it gross and a complete turnoff. This has always been respected in my relationships, even if someone came into the relationship with different habits. It's really not that difficult. Go into another room, the bathroom, outside, or wherever makes sense for the situation. I've never really agreed with the idea that once you're comfortable with your partner, you just fart around each other. What I find interesting is that many of the people who normalize farting around their partner or even find it amusing somehow manage not to fart while they were dating people. So to me, it's like, wait, strangers get spared from the funk, but then the person you love is the one who deserves your funk? But hey, to each their own. Listen here, for me, when it comes to my sleep, I do not play around. It's hard enough for me to get quality sleep, so I take it seriously and do not want to be disturbed. I don't want anyone or anything to wake me up. And when I'm actually ready to fall asleep, I don't need or want to be cuddled. At that point, I just want to sleep. This whole arrangement actually started unintentionally back when we lived in Hawaii. Some nights I'd stay up late and end up sleeping on the sofa because it was more comfortable for me. Other nights I'd want to sleep in, so Mike would go to bed earlier in the guest rooms so that he wouldn't wake me getting ready for work. Eventually we realized our sleep quality had improved and we weren't disrupting each other's sleep. So instead of forcing ourselves back into the same bed every night, because that's what couples are supposed to do, we decided to intentionally keep doing what was already working. And listen, I feel loved, I feel close to Mike, and if on any given night we both feel like sleeping together, then we do. It's really that simple. Ironically, sleeping separately has never made us feel more distant. If anything, it has made us happier, more rested, and more present with each other. We get the best of both worlds, quality sleep, and a relationship where we genuinely enjoy coming together. Whether that's for a cuddle, sex, watching a movie, talking, or sharing a bed simply because we feel like it. At the end of the day, there isn't one right way to love someone. The right way is whatever allows both people to thrive. For us, that's exactly what we found. But who knows what the night holds? Maybe I'm making myself a giant plate of Italian pasta as a little midnight snack. Maybe I've got the late night giggles and I'm laughing at something ridiculous. I don't use sound alarms, only a vibrating watch alarm. And I'd honestly be pissed if I had to hear someone else's alarm every morning. I've had neurodivergent and lifelong sleep struggles, so the last thing that I want when I'm actually sleeping is to be woken up. None of that makes me difficult, it just makes me human. And that's really the bigger point. Stop mindlessly adopting traditions that quietly lower your quality of life simply because they're considered normal. Tradition is not automatically wisdom. You are allowed to question it. You are allowed to keep what works and discard what doesn't, and create a life and relationship that actually supports the two people living in it, not the people watching it. You don't need your relationship to look traditional. You need it to work. So I encourage you to reflect and make your own traditions. Thanks for watching. Bye. À la prochaine. Ciao.
Do you know how it feels to wake up with some